Welcome to the 2024 State of the City Address. I am Mayor Mouton, aka Marty McFly. And we have with us our city manager, Joe.
Great Scott!
Jay Stokes, better known as Doc Brown. And our assistant city manager, Sarah Robinson, better known as AKA Lorraine Baines. So is George McFly in the house? Because I really need George to get hooked up with Lorraine sometimes today, or I might not exist at some point before the end of this presentation. So you have to keep your eyes open for George McFly, because I really need to get them hooked up. So as Doc Brown advised me right before we come out, which is the quintessential rule of all elected officials, don't ever forget to introduce your wife. So I'm going to start with recognizing my wife here at the head table, and let's give her a nice round of applause. Only God knows what she has to go through, right? At the table adjacent, I have my two oldest twins, who are both the parents of my 3 grandsons. I still have Courtney on my phone, even though she's got another name as Courtney Mouton, and then my son next to her, Corey Mouton, and then
last but not least,
the reason I am here, my mother, Beverly Sanders. And her husband, Mike. To all of you, thank you for taking time to be here today. To friends, to family, to other elected officials, I'll pick on some of you guys in a little bit. At this time, let me get Doc Brown to officially introduce all of his bosses.
thank you, Mayor. We have, as I see them here, Councilman Tommy Gett, Councilwoman Georgette Ford, Councilman T.J. Hay, Councilwoman Sherry Garrison, Councilman Bill Patterson, and also Ron Martin, who's not with us.
Now, I know they were recognized earlier, but it's really important for him to earn some brownie points, so you just got to understand what we're doing.
Thank you, Mayor. We have Justin League over here, too, who will be my boss today.
Council-elect. Lorraine, you want to introduce staff?
Yes, we have a lot of city staff here today. If I could ask our department heads, our directors to please stand. So we have Mr. Charlie Sandberg, our Parks and Rec Director, Delcia Jimenez, our Engineering Director, Bill Peterson, our Public Works Director, Nicole Gainey, our Finance Director, Angela Smith, our City Secretary, Chief Greg, our Police Chief, Jamie Galloway, our EMS Director, and then Ms. Rebecca Poole, our Library Director. And then we have a lot of our Assistant Directors and lots of other staff here that are integral in what y'all are about to experience today. So thank you, all of y'all. I wanted to make sure.
As the other mayors in the room know, we get credit and blame for way too much, but staff is the one that really is on the front line providing and taking care of all this, and it's important to recognize them. So, welcome to the Deer Park of the future. For the next few minutes, we're going to kind of set the stage of really, I'm at the end now of my 11th year, and we've got 10 years here, and I really kind of challenge staff to let's cast a vision for the next 10 years. So for the next few minutes, we're going to kind of give you a little summary as we get Doc Brown and Lorraine in here helping us to understand First, it's always important to me to understand the why we do what we do. And then we'll address the how and what we do to address the why. So the why is the vision, right? Deer Park is a vibrant, sustainable community, a safe place to work, play, and live, offering growth and opportunity to all residents and business. That is the heartbeat of everything we do in this city and in our organization. How we do it is the mission of the city is to deliver exemplary municipal services that provide a community of high quality, consistent with our history, our culture, and our unique character. We use this every day to guide us, and so it's important to kind of start with that so you understand in some aspect of how we've gotten from where we've been in the last number of years to where we are today. So, investing in the future. Strategic planning. It's a big word, right? And a lot of times I think we cover some of this to the point you kind of look at it and you don't really understand the nuts and bolts of what goes into strategic planning. So for the next couple minutes, you're going to see kind of what is our guiding blueprint of what we go through and how we use to gauge this stuff. And it just by chance, a week from tomorrow, we're going to be renewing our strategic plan and setting the stage for the next 5 years. So these are a lot of the items that is kind of the foundation that has taken us over the last 10 years to get to this point. And we actually, that's not just bullet points that we put on the shelf. A lot of this is really the key items of how we break all this stuff down, and everything we're doing is off of this blueprint. Strategic planning. We got 6 areas of emphasis. Now I need to take my notes out and, she's the young version. I know, this is the old version of Marty McFly, so I get it. Before I take any crap from any of my friends, I've aged a little bit in the last 10 years. I used to have color in my hair, now I've just got natural highlights. So with that said, the vision for the future. Doc Brown, if I were to put you on the spot and ask you in any aspect, looking back to the past, is this the first time we've done any kind of strategic planning? And tell us a little bit about that.
In fact, it is not. Beginning in 2009, there may have been some plans before that. I got here in 2010, so I'm familiar with what happened since 2009. The city hired a gentleman named Ron Cox. And Ron Cox is our city manager of Fredwood. Many of you from the Red House were there, Ron. We've worked with him in some capacity. He started doing a consulting business where he does strategic planning, amongst other things. And he came here prior to the 3 of us being in our leadership roles. And thanks to many of you that are in the room and your leadership roles at the time, Ron came in and the city outlined a 5-year plan. And then Ron came back after I got here in 2014, again in 2019. And in 2024, just a week from tomorrow, we'll be doing our 4th 5-year plan with Ron. And every year we update that plan and bring it to council and talk about what was that.
So tell us a little bit about the process of the strategic plan and how it shapes into what the future looks like.
So many things that we do, virtually everything we do, you can look back and find it in one of those plans. And what we will be doing over the next 5 years will be found in the plan that we created a week from tomorrow. Unlike a lot of organizations, there are some that present a plan and then, quite frankly, it just ends up on a shelf. And I've worked in other cities in the past where that happens. That does not happen in Deer Park. And Ron always brags on us. It's really fun and amazing as the city manager and the leader of our staff to be able to go to council every year and say, look what we've all done. We did not just say we're going to do X, Y, and Z. We have done X, Y, and Z, and we look forward to the next 5 years, what's going to be the new X, Y, and Z, because that's going to get done too.
So Lorraine, who's involved with the strategic plan?
Thank you, son. Well, first.
George? Is George in the house?
So we typically start our strategic planning session with council in the morning, and we go over leadership and governance, and we really get to spend a few hours diving into what that means to us and our city, and how we can harmoniously get all of that done and accomplished. And then we invite our directors and our assistant directors in to have a planning session with council on how we're going to implement that vision and that mission that was established for Bring. So it's a full day session of fun.
Excellent.
So what does the next 10 years look like, Mom?
Well, first, I think the finger wave in my hair will probably go out of style. But we do our strategic planning in 5-year increments. So for the next 5 years, initially, we have a lot of new facilities and programming that's going to be coming online. And a large focus of our strategic plan for the next 5 years is how we're going to do that and do it well. Beyond that, in the 5 to 10 year range, there's going to be a heavy focus on what we can do to make sure that we continue the quality of life that Deer Park, the community and the residents are used to experiencing and living, and how we can continue to shepherd our growth in our community for just better things to come in the future.
Let's give him a nice round of applause. In any context of planning for this stuff, my first thought, Doc's already running off, was how cool it would be to kind of come right now as the mayor on a hoverboard. And I kind of like, that sounds good, except if the mayor busts his ass, everybody's going to get a picture of it, and I'll never live that down. So it's just a prop. I haven't tried it yet. But thank you two for coming up here and helping me today. Let's give them a nice round.
Welcome, son.
I appreciate these two because you work really closely with them in many contexts of stuff, and I've developed a really enjoyable relationship with them, and not every city can brag about that. Because you can see it. It's usually in the media, right? It's kind of funny. It's good. It's funny, some of my strategic partners that's walked in, well, how's things going? And my default answer is, well, we're not in the news, so that's good, right? So hopefully we can show you a lot of stuff that never makes the news. These are some aspects of the cool thing about a lot of what we're going to see today. There's not been any really scenarios where we've had to try, well, how we're going to pay for that. It's been really good to be able to have a budget that's been managed for many decades, that we can get to this point where this is how we're going to pay for it. And moving forward, and then we've been able to tap into our sales tax type B for some of these projects, and then general obligation bonds, and it's put us in a good footing. And we're in the 8th year of having a AAA rating. That's a big thing to me because it saves the taxpayers so much money when you have that rating. For some reason, you can get really good interest rates, and it doesn't cost you on the big end of thing, because paying for these capital projects is not that big a deal, but when you start attaching interest and all that other stuff to it, it kind of adds up. Preparing for the future. It's a project timeline. It's not complicated. If you drive around, you see a lot of things, and we get to cover a lot of this on, it just takes so much. Because when I saw the project next door that when I drove up yesterday, they're starting on Fire Station 1, and we'll cover that in a minute. I was like, oh, they got started. And then instantly, it's like, we've been working on this for years, right, Council? To get it to this point, it just a lot goes into this. So I really wanted to emphasize that, because when you start casting the vision for the next 10 years, you know, as someone said to me, one of the other mayors in the room, it's like, if we hadn't done nothing for the last 5 years, then where would you be? And to understand everything that we've been able to accomplish, you really have to start with this aspect of the planning and the strategizing of it. And every part of it you can't minimize, because it's all important. It just affects how it comes down. I can honestly say, when you look at this in the last 5 years, 52% of the projects are completed, and the other ones are breaking ground. So that's a pretty big deal from my perspective of how you manage all these things going through. And it's a total team effort. to add on to what Lorraine, as soon as I get George hooked up, it's important to understand, as she was elaborating, it's a collaborative effort between the elected officials and council and our department heads. And that's a big deal. Am I right, mayors? That's a big deal when you get everybody on the same page, pulling in the same direction, and everybody understands the vision, and you're laying this stuff out, and it becomes a moot point. You don't have to talk about so many things because everybody's already bought into that. So what does the future hold? The Jimmy Burke Activity Center, Visitor Center, Museum. This building's going to come down here pretty soon. I'm already counting down the days. In 26, hopefully we'll be over there. It's going to be right next to it, and you're like wondering. Just wait till you see. This has gone from conceptual designs to actual renditions off of the. And they're going to be breaking ground on this project, which is going to be right next door to us in June of this year. The portion to the left is going to be the museum aspect, which you can see down on the right, which is going to be able to display a lot of our historical aspects. When you put it in the context of a lot of our cities, and we're at about 90 plus years, you start losing contact with the first generation or two of that community. So, preserving as much of where you came from, it helps you plan out where you're going when you're talking about your culture and what makes our community what it is. Put it into context, because I was talking with staff yesterday evening about this. If you take this building, you just double the capacity, and that's pretty much what we're going to end up with that, to put it in your head. So it's going to really give us a lot of flexibility. You'll be able to have any aspect of up to 1,000 people type banquet settings or anything in between. So the flexibility was important to us to make sure it's an asset to our community, our industry partners, everybody. It'll be, to me, one of the premier event centers in this area that we'll be able to host and do all kind of different things. Ella and Friends Dog Park. So got my dear friend Brian Taylor as a tribute to your mother. He just lost his mother last year, and she was a longtime council member. And if you know anything about what that name means, that was their dog. And their family put up the seed money to start that dog park. Correct me if I'm wrong. So here's some still pictures of the park, and see Ella on that thing. We've got Ella engraved right on there, and a tribute to where this is. Your mom would be so proud of this park. So it connects to the theme, right? Because we've got baseball fields, softball fields, just adjacent to here. The golf course is right there. And of course, my mind goes crazy, and I start thinking crazy things. So we got these big balls that are going to be in a dog park. So what am I doing? I'm texting Andy Pettit. I said, hey, can I get you to sign like a big signature on one of these balls? Because I'm like thinking there'll be more people wanting to go take a picture next to that ball with Andy Pettit's name on it. But he's part of our community, right? So it's kind of cool. He instantly like, yeah, sure, for you, anything. It was all good. But I'm like, for me, that's pretty cool, right? We'll get people going to be coming out here for Andy Pettit signatures, right? The community center and pool house. So as most of you know that are around here, we broke ground on this, and I am so excited about this project. Some of these renderings still doesn't do it service in regards to the impact it's going to have to our community and the capabilities that it's got. It's got all kind of stuff, and that top image is shot from the visual aspect. There's going to be a walking track around that double basketball court, so you'll be able to, if you want to walk and it's raining outside or cold outside or whatever, you'll be able to go in and get some exercise and cardio activity. And the weight and facility will be up on that second story. So, I mean, imagine, I'm a grandfather now, right? If my kids are playing in there, I'm going to be on that second story looking down, so I have to be amongst all the nonsense. That's the way I'm thinking. Yeah, give me a balcony up there. The virtual reality stuff's pretty cool. Not be able to walk through a building and it's not even built yet, and really almost touch and feel and understand how it's going to lay out is really cool. And again, the way I'm thinking, and it's hard to explain to people, but these facilities, most of them are in the 50 to 60, 70 year range, and it's interesting when you start planning and knowing this is for the next 50 to 75 years of what we're doing, investing in our community. So when you talk about the future, some of this stuff, it's going, if you do it right, it's going to age to that extent, and you don't realize, because like a lot of people like, well, why are you tearing that down? It don't look bad. Like, it's just 50 years old. I mean, just because the roof's caving in and the HVAC can't get no more parts for it and the foundation's all cracked. I know it looks pretty on the outside, but it's coming apart. We need to tear it down. So we scrape it, and this is what we're going with. It's kind of cool, right? Fire station. Fire stations, they have a lot of cool, expensive toys. And in reality, it's one of them things like many aspects of city services. You don't appreciate it until you need it, right? But it's important to get the foundation right to where you have your personnel has the top-notch facilities. It really puts it on a different plateau. And again, I know some of our fire departments back there, a lot of these facilities we're replacing, like Fire Station 1 right around the corner, that's pushing 70 years old. It's been there a long time. I mean, it goes back to when Jimmy was born. I mean, it's been there a while. It's just so hard to explain any aspect of when you're building these new facilities versus retrofitting old or remodeling. How do you integrate the modern technology that we've all become accustomed to, that It's like today, and I'm not singling anybody out in the room, but you know, when you get up and your phone don't work, it's like, what the heck? Where's she at? Where's she at? Where's she at? I'm not picking on you. I'm just glad it's working because I got AT&T, and then of course if the phones are going to go down, today's a good day for me. I don't want to deal with anything. So if I missed your call, I'll get it tomorrow, right? My phone don't work. Fire station number 2, which has already broke ground and should be completed later this year. This is part of the training facility which we have down there. It's not only to help our own department, but again, is a multi-use facility that other agencies are able to come in and use to continue their training and make sure they are totally prepared to deal with everything. When a picture is worth 1,000 words, imagine what a video is worth, right? It kind of explains everything, and I don't have to say much about it, but I know I see my fire department back there. You guys excited? Ready for that next season? I'm so excited. I mean, I've been looking at it last few days. I wonder if I'm gonna be able to go over there and sit back and watch a movie and do whatever all they do in there. It looks good, but nothing for this. Yeah, Jamie's shaking his head. No, the mayor can't get in. Yeah. Not to throw anybody under the bus, but when I'll do it when the tornado stuff comes up a little bit. No, this is too good, right? So the tornado hit last year, right? And I'm an early riser, so I get there before anybody else, and I go up and I pull my badge out. I'm the mayor, and I'm scanning it, and it won't let me in. I'm like, what the heck? I'm the mayor. And then I go up to Chief and said, oh, that's Wade Connor. He won't let you in the building. You got to get with Wade. And I'm still never sure if I've gotten clearance to it, but I don't know if I want to get clearance to Wade's domain, right? Because I might get in trouble. I'll pay for this later, I know, Ryan. It's okay. His daughter works for us, so he needs to be nice. And she is a joy to work with. Just for the record. I'll give her some accolades in a little bit. Municipal Court and Theater Building.
The City of Deer Park is excited to announce their plans for the Municipal Court and Theater Building. The Municipal Court will be getting a brand new facility located on the same grounds adjacent to the current building. The functions of the facility will remain the same. The theater will remain in the same facility but is inheriting the old fire station after the new fire station is built. The old building will be converted into a new arts and culture facility after minor renovations are made. These projects are in the very initial stages. While there is not a start date in place for design, the City of Deer Park is working diligently to provide the most state-of-the-art facilities for their residents and visitors.
It's a joke, but it's not a joke, right? It's gotten where I can't afford, I would lose too many votes if I don't have Susan singing. So I always have her singing. It's kind of a non-debatable narrative. But what many people don't know that's outside of that circle of how many kids are over there every day going through these programs and keeping so many kids on track to find something that keeps them busy. Because if you haven't noticed and kids are not busy, they're going to find something to get into. And we don't want them to have to interact with our police department if they don't have to, right? So we keep them busy. Emergency Operations Center. So I went to Missouri County, which I never go down there, right? We've got a former employee, Robert Heminger, who was our EMS director, and he was having some of the state officials. It's unfortunate when you get to know on a personal bases all the emergency management people for the state of Texas, right? It's not necessarily a good thing. So I went out there to see him because an M kid was out there, and he works for the governor, and he's been very helpful in us through things. And I walk up to him, and he's standing next to somebody, and he literally points to me, and he's talking to the guy. He said, "This guy, he's the shit magnet of Texas. If something's going to go wrong, it's going to happen in Deer Park." I'm like thinking, that's not the way you want to be introduced. I'm just saying. But, you know, it puts into perspective, because when I show you this, I'm really proud of it. I kind of hope we never have to use what I'm fixing to show you. But there's a reason why we're investing in this. You can't imagine the chaos that happens in any kind of setting when something goes wrong, and then to match up the facility, especially on a modern era, right? When all these agencies come in, you know, they all want to be plugged in, and it's important to, how do you distribute all this information? Well, for me, the coolest thing, if you didn't see that one where it's got all them screens where, I mean, the objective of all that is when you got dozens of people and everybody's working on something, you don't really have to rely on them to tell you what's going on. They just pop it up on their screen. And again, decision making in some of them environments is premier, right? You got to have the data in front of you in regards to making the appropriate decisions at the right time. Having these capabilities just puts you on a whole different plateau. And you know, the call center, which you saw some of them cool ones, right? That looks really cool. It's not a video narrative. It's the call center, and you don't, again, appreciate it until you pick up 911 and all that stuff is going on, and they're doing their job, right? And no one understands. Of course, we have our representative from the PD, and I thank them so much for what they do, because I got personal friends here that's been through scenarios, and you call there and they walk you through everything you need to deal with it, and that's what they do, right? But you don't realize what goes on behind the scenes to make sure they have everything you need. Advanced metering, not meteor, metering.
Hi, I'm Nicole Gainey, the Director of Finance for the City of Deer Park, and I'm excited to announce the launch of our Advanced Metering Infrastructure project, aimed at providing enhanced customer service to our water utility customers. Starting in late March 2024, the city will begin replacing water meters throughout the community with advanced metering infrastructure. A new meter system will provide real-time water usage data, consumption threshold alerts, comparative data, leak alerts, and notifications from the city. Customers can access their consumption data through an internet-based customer dashboard, accessible from any computer, tablet, or smartphone. The implementation of AMI will be a huge benefit to our customers. With the data the new smart meters provide, customers will be able to proactively detect leaks and have a better understanding of their usage. City staff will be equipped to walk customers through their bills using graphs and metrics. It will be a fantastic tool for everyone involved. Join us by tapping into water wisdom.
This was exciting for me because the capabilities that this will give you to be able to track this data and understand, whether it be per address, per sector, anywhere. Imagine every ounce of water going through will be recorded, and we'll know. You'll be able to find out if somebody's house is averaging so many gallons a day over 30 days, and you start compiling that over years, right? 1% of an outlier you know there should be a problem, right? So we'll be able to start tracking that, getting notifications in regards to, God forbid, my mother has a leak on her water meter and it's costing her a lot of money. She's laughing over there because she called me last week and I got a leak. I'm like, okay, don't you know anybody in the city? So the mayor had to pick up the phone and call. But it gives you, and again, a decision-making ability. There's not going to be a more expensive commodity that we all have to deal with in the future outside of water. You can't make any more water, right? You bring in more people. If you don't have water, there's a problem. But to be able to put it on your phone, track it yourself, it's funny how many people, I got a higher water bill. And they just automatically assume the city's just ripping them off. I said that out loud, didn't I? Not that I've ever had a call on that. But you get the point, right? I mean, you'll be able to track it. I always use my phone as an example with staff. How do we communicate people with this? Because that's where we're going. We do it in every other aspect of life, and I'm really excited. Staff has picked this up, and they've been, again, working on it for years, and the capabilities that it's going to give us to be able to manage that resource moving forward is just going to be phenomenal. 2023. It was an interesting January of last year, let's just say. It made me stop for a few minutes. I was flooded with emotions to see all this, and there's many aspects of things, again, now referring back to the EOC and what you have to go through, and we deducted after this event, just to now throw in a deer, Jay and I were talking, and we hadn't had a tornado that rip us like that in modern history. We couldn't find one in the last 50 years. But the only thing that we haven't experienced in the last 10 years is an earthquake. Now think about that. And if an earthquake happens tomorrow, I promise you it wasn't me, okay? We'll have to talk to God upstairs. But it just puts into the magnitude of the array of stuff we've dealt with in the last number of years, and I'm appreciative, because when I look at that, I mean, I instantly think about the state resources that came and helped us, the county resources that came and helped us, and then I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge all the other mayors and cities that worked together with us, and I know we were working close with Mayor Wagner in Pasadena because we were both impacted, but to all of a sudden have the array of other cities, just like whatever you need. Now, Michelle Bechtel's here, and he's my friend, if you don't know him. And he is by far the smallest city in Texas, right? It's got like 300 and something people. And I promise you, half the people that vote for him live in the cemetery. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that out loud. And he calls me because, you know, everything's going on. And he's like, I only got one truck, but I'm sending it. And I'm like thinking in some kind of weird metaphor. I said, well, you're 100% invested. All these other cities are only sending just a little bit of their resources. So as much as I give him crap, he sent everything he had. And we were grateful. I say this quite often because I was so overwhelmed for the first few days, and I started like, how do we document this? So I just started taking pictures of all these other trucks because it's, you know, it's not normal when LaPorte's got a truck in Deer Park. You're kind of like, what's the problem? Well, now we know because LaPorte comes running, and I'm grateful for our neighbors, and I haven't picked on Rigby that much, right? But I've still got a few more minutes. Let me get finished saying something nice about them, but I started stopping at the different city trucks, and I think the first one was Mount Bellevue. And I'm like thanking this guy for coming to Deer Park to help us, and the guy sitting there was like, I live here. I just work over there. I didn't even have to go in. I just was able to stay here. And I started asking and I remember I was at Pearland, and I was acknowledging them and thanking them in whatever way we could to show our appreciation. I'm like, any of you guys from Public Works that came, do y'all live in Deer Park? And 2 or 3 of them raised their hand. I'm like, okay, this is pretty cool. But it just goes to show we're all connected out here in this region, and as much as we are our own entities, we're all connected. And Bubba, I know y'all got a lot of crap going on in LaPorte and you'd like to redo some of it. You can get in the car now and go back to 1983 and start fixing a lot of y'all's problems. Now, as nice as that would be, that's the one thing on why strategic planning is important. Because we don't have the opportunity to get in this car and go back and say, man, I wish I'd have done that different. And I do need George to get connected with Lorraine, right? This was the impact. Most of them you can't tell anymore because a lot of them were, but there's still a few buildings that are going back up. These are a lot of our affiliated organizations. I'm grateful for the relationships we have with all these organizations that help us when we need help at any particular moment. So obviously there's a lot of people that work hard to keep me out of trouble because I can tend to get off in the weeds and mess around. But there's no question Jay and Sarah are at the top of my list, and it's a joy to work with you too. So thank you so much for all you do, not only for me as mayor keeping me out of trouble, but also as helping us get to where we are today. Libby Blair, where's Libby Blair? She in here? Yeah. You can stand up. I mean, because it's not complicated. I go home, my wife tells me what to do. I go to City Hall, and Libby tells me what to do. It's not complicated. You want to know the secret to anything?
Ask a woman.
Caitlin's back here. Caitlin, I know she's not going to come out. She helped put this all together. She makes me look good. But this is easy, right? Because really all we're doing is showing what the employees are implementing in our community. And it's nice to be a part. Joe, I know you're back there. Joe keeps the sound and everything going for me. Yeah. I'm still apologizing from a few years ago because I got one of these mics and it was like crawling all over my face, you know. And I'm like, I'll be talking and I could feel it moving and nobody knew, right? But I did. I'm like, Joe, this mic is moving. And I'm realizing I'm saying that out loud. So I apologized to him a while ago. But if it wasn't for these guys doing everything that they do, I obviously would be in trouble, right? So thanks to all of them. I'd be remissful if I didn't. Thanks to all of you for coming today. I hope you understand that what we're doing is preparing for the future. And any aspect of the state of the city, it's in fantastic position, and I'm so grateful for where we are today, and I'm really excited about the future. And so it's been an honor to be able to show you a little bit about what we're doing, and back to the future, right?